Are we currently in an Islamic militant version of World War III, replacing anti-Semitism with globalized intifada? Check out this clip over here with Nachi Gordon interviewing Shmelke Diamond about his views on Israel. Listen to what he has to say, and then we'll talk about it. I'll just add that there is a disclaimer, which Nachi plays. I'll play that at the end of this video, just for the sake of brevity. We're jumping right in.
Also disagree with the Shita of Zionism, and like, we don't have to get into the weeds of it. But have you been to Israel?
I actually have not.
If you were to go to Israel and you'd go to the Kaisel.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Would you go to would you go to Israel?
If I had a reason to, I mean, I would ask permission from a dayan.
Is there a gadol that you'd want to go see in Israel?
I can't think of one off the top of my head. The truth is, I'm a little bit bad at chasing rabbunim. I mean, I used to do that in my 20s, but I have a legitimate excuse. You know,
Right.
I have not been well for the last few
He
years.
has a physical ailment.
Right. There are Satmar Hasidim that do go to Israel.
Of course there are. You know, of course,
Right.
sure.
Right.
I mean, you could, but
my point is, like, I disagree with you on that, but you're a yid, and I can see your life as a totality, and I'm sure there's things that you disagree with me on, and that's fine. So I just, I want to get that out there, because listen, this is my show, and I don't agree, even if you don't agree with Zionism intellectually and what religious Zionism stands for. I totally disagree with aligning ourselves, especially in a time like this, with protesting against Israel. And like, those are our brothers, the same way that kid who gave you tefillin is your brother. And we don't go take this to the streets and start throwing spears at them, especially in a time like this.
So the Rebbe actually said many times that we do not make a protest during the war, which is why we waited until the war ended to make the protest. But I think that, I actually said, I've said jokingly but seriously that the real winners of this recent conflict were the Neturei Karta.
Do you agree with Neturei Karta?
No, but
that's an important thing to put out there.
But Neturei Karta, from a business standpoint, right? They've got like a little shul here in Muncie. What do they have? 11 people,
right? But they make the most noise,
and they have this phenomenal social. They've taken the meat. You've talked about the power of media,
and they do a great disservice for Satmar, by the way.
They do a great disservice for Satmar, but they have come out as a media force. They now have access to top American media journalists,
because those journalists want to air They want to air stories of Jews who look like you talking bad about Israel.
100%.
And that is an awful thing. And the biggest chil Hashem for Satmar, Jew to Jew, Jew to Goyim, is what Neturei Karta does.
Well, I think there are bigger ones, but I think I can think of a few.
They're debatable, but
I think the way that people take advantage of certain rules, especially when it comes to whether it be kashrus or tznius, I think that's a bigger issue. But
I hear, but you understand what I'm saying.
Look, unfortunately, there is this thing called the truth, right? And
they're not espousing the truth.
Because they're aligning themselves with the Arabs and they're wearing the Palestinian kippah thing, right? But the Torah says you're not allowed to have a state, so you can't do it. And again, I have so many friends who believe the other way. I mean, I
don't want to get into a intellectual argument now about what the Torah says, what the interpretation is. I don't think that's what this is for.
For sure not.
But I think, again,
we can agree to disagree.
We could on that, and I think your story is still incredible with your views as well. And I think that I know that this is going to come out. I'm going to get a lot of flack. You sat with someone who's anti-Zionist, but you're a Yid, and you're someone who chose your Yiddishkeit. You chose your identity, and I could not disagree with some of that identity. But you're still a Yid, and
my answer to that is a very popular phrase. And actually, I thought of starting my own podcast, which this is what I would call it: "Sorry, not sorry." I'm sorry if my view offends you,
right?
But I'm not sorry for what I believe. And I think that
listen, that's you. That's going to be for you to take on with,
of course,
the
And
world.
it's hard. It is.
Okay, so we're going to stop over here, and we really got to unpack what happened over here. Here you have a person. You really got to watch the whole video, but I'm really not going to analyze Shmelke or Nachi. Nachi apologized many times and said he did not know originally. Watch the clip at the end of this video, or watch it on his channel. Okay, Meaningful People. Phenomenal interview. But what I want to bring out is the following. Now, there's this faction, there's Satmar, there's Neturei Karta, but then we have the majority of, I guess, the frum world. There's 1 million Jews living in Brooklyn, in New York. So in this week's Mishpacha magazine, there was an article that really touched my heart. And there was 2 articles, and one was by Reb Chaim David Zweibel. Now, he is the executive director for the Agudas Yisrael, and he's executive vice president of Agudas Yisrael of America, and he says the following over there, and I really want to read this to you. At a meeting several months ago of the Moetzes Gedolei Yisrael of America, the question was raised: should the Agudah work on establishing a relationship with the NYC mayoral candidate Zoran Mamdani? So they asked the question, can we work together with Mamdani? And the Moetzah, I'm going to paraphrase it just for the sake of brevity, the Moetzah deliberated for a few brief moments, then offered their guidance. Agudah must do all in its power to generate a large voter turnout, but they said that if Mamdani is elected, we're going to work with Mamdani. Okay. And he says this is historically, this position, now obviously I'm not coming chas v'shalom to question Reb Chaim David Zweibel, chas v'shalom, or the Moetzes Gedolei Yisrael. That's not the point. My question is to ask us, can we think about these in different terms, perhaps, than the way it's being presented? And bear with me, you'll understand what I'm saying. The position is consistent with long-standing Stadlanus practice. First of all, the word Stadlanus I've never understood. It's an American word, but it's not an English word. The U.S. State Department was a hotbed of Jewish anti-Semitism during World War II, yet Mike Tress and other key Stadlanim of that generation relied on Breckinridge Long, one of the most notorious State Department officials, to help save a number of distinguished Rosh Hashivas and Rabbanim. So his first argument in this thing is that we really got to follow what we did in the 1930s and 40s. But really, what we did in the 1930s and 40s, if those Jews had an opportunity to come to Eretz Yisrael and live the way we live today, there wouldn't be one Jew left in Chutz La'aretz. Take a look at this clip from Rabbi Leff saying this.
Klal Yisrael belong in Eretz Yisrael. And therefore, if our ancestors had the ability to come to Eretz Yisrael the way we do today, right, just to spend some money, get on a plane, relocate, there's not one Jew who would have remained in Europe.
So there you have Rabbi Leff, who is perhaps the most prolific and well-loved rabbi in Eretz Yisrael for the Anglo community. And he's saying this, that nobody would have been left there. So just being nice to Mamdani because you need to get by in life. And he brings the most astounding thing is he brings a raya from Moshe Rabbeinu. And I'm chas v'shalom, I'm just asking you, the audience, maybe help me understand this. Maybe write in the comments what this means. He says that Moshe Rabbeinu went to Paro and asked Paro to send the Jews out of Egypt. And he says that Rashi says he wanted to give kavod to Paro. And he says if Moshe Rabbeinu could give Paro kavod because Paro is the leader, so shouldn't we give kavod to Mamdani? I want to ask you something. And let me ask you a question. Why did God need Paro to send the Jews out of Mitzrayim? Why didn't God just tell Moses, I'm going to give them the first makkah, I'm going to give them blood and let the Jews run. Just let them run out of Eretz Mitzrayim, let them run to Eretz Yisrael. Right after Dam, the Mitzrayim would have let them go. Why did we need to be sent out of exile? Now, again, I'm not arguing with the Moetzes Gedolei Yisrael. I'm bringing out another point. We brought up this point of Moshe Rabbeinu. Why did he need to show kavod to Paro? Well, the answer is because we need Paro to send the Jews to Eretz Yisrael. Mamdani wasn't sent that we should become friends with him and we should learn how to make Golos work. The Chidushei Arim says that Golos, the Geula happens when we stop loving the Golos. Instead of trying to make Golos work and trying to see how we could work, I'm talking practically, the Moetzes Gedolei Yisrael is probably right. Of course they're right. We need to work practically. But to think for a second that even what Yaakov Avinu did in this week's Parsha, where he sent gifts to Esav, and we know that Gedolim have always told us that we look how to deal with Esav. We look to these Parshas, we do shochad, we give them bribery, and we bow down 7 times like Yaakov did. Okay, so I'm in editing. I just want to add in one more caveat over here, which I think I forgot to mention, and that is the following. Where was Yaakov going? Why was he giving shochad to Esav? He wanted to go back to Eretz Yisrael. Hashem came to him and said, go to Eretz Canaan. He finally had Yosef. He knew that he can get to Eretz Yisrael. So he actually was using the shochad to get to Eretz Yisrael. Think about that. Let's go back to the video. But for every one of his bowings, every time he bowed down, we lost something. And today it's very different than it was 50 years ago or 100 years ago. We no longer could say we're in Golus and we have nowhere to go and therefore we have to make it work. We're no longer completely in Golus. In fact, most of the Jews, I saw another article in this week's Mishpacha by Gedalia Gutentag, a friend of mine, a neighbor, who writes that, yes, we have to work with Mamdani, but take the state of Israel out of the equation. Forget the state of Israel. And this is what Nachi Gordon was telling Shmelke. Take the state of Israel out. We have 7.7 million Jews living in the land. And the question of whether or not the state of Israel, from a religious point of view, is acceptable is irrelevant. It's a reality. It's a fact. Most of the Jews are here. And we need to protect ourselves. So put that all aside. And Rev Gedalia Gutentag said that wouldn't we want to be a part of Eretz Yisrael? And to have to be forced to align ourselves with either we're with Mamdani, and we put the fact that he says globalized intifada is okay, we put that aside. So think about it. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Please check out the clip from Nachi Gordon. I'm going to leave his intro at the end of this video, just so that you can watch it and see how he very clearly expresses his views. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe, like, and share. Thank you.
Argument now. This is going to come out. I'm going to get a lot of flack. You sat with someone who's anti-Zionist.
I'm sorry if my view offends you,
Right.
but I'm not sorry for what I believe.
What do you think about Zionists now?
I think it's absolutely against the Torah.
I disagree with you on that.
I hope I don't get too much
I
flack.
hope you get a little flack, but not too much. Okay, guys, I usually cut straight to the episode, but there's really something important I need to talk about with you. Not just hitting that subscribe button, which you should do, please. It takes 5 seconds. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We see how many you subscribe from an episode. We see those numbers go up of what percentage of people are subscribed versus not. Please do that for us. But in this episode, a set of views came up that I did not agree with, and I did not know were held by our guest. I certainly did not know it would be coming up. As you can tell, I was a little bit caught off guard by it. I just wanted to, get ahead and say, listen, we're 2 Jews sitting here. He had a remarkable story, and yes, he held views I did not believe. I don't believe. And that's okay. It's okay. It's okay that we disagree. I hope it came off in a respectful manner how we disagreed with each other. And disagreeing is important. And I just wanted to come on here and say, if I didn't disagree strongly enough, I wanted to come on here and say that I'm sorry beforehand. Why am I apologizing before? This is crazy. Anyways, guys,